Welcome into another exciting edition of Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta, Andrea Drummond, a big talking point for Nick Nurse yesterday and his journey through the season. We'll cover that as well as who was actually up and practicing for the 76ers yesterday. Oh, and by the way, happy Thanksgiving. All that and more in this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And once again, thank you for watching Locked On 76ers, making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network out there. And this particular episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Yes, we are live on this Thursday, Thanksgiving, because there's plenty to talk about when it comes to the 76ers. Keith, a little bit later, I just want to know, in the Pompey house, a little bit later, we'll talk about it. What was the tradition? What was the Thanksgiving tradition? You guys play football? Would you guys go outside and play basketball? What was the tradition in the Pompey household? I'll ask you that a little bit later. But Andrea Drummond, I want to get into with you. Trenton Watford being out now with the adductor injury, and then VJ and PG actually practicing, which, as we've come to learn in Sixer life, means nothing. But let's start out on the positive, because one of my favorite stories of this year has been Andrea Drummond. Look, the team is 9-8. Joel Embiid has had his injury problems again. PG has had injury problems, of course. Now, the rookie that started out so hot, VJ Edgecombe, he's now having his injury problems. But there is one guy that has been on a steady incline since he has been here this season, and that is Andrea Drummond. And yesterday, Nick Nurse was so candid about the line in the sand that they drew last year for Andrea Drummond and said, look, what you did last year, that ain't going to cut it. If you're back again next year, meaning this year, you got to play better. You got to be in shape. You got to be motivated. You got to be healthy, all that stuff. And now Andrea Drummond is averaging over 10 rebounds per game for the first time in 4 years. Granted, he's getting a lot more minutes, but then again, he's earned a lot more of those minutes, especially when he has now jumped back over a now banged up Dembona, but he has been able to get back to the rebounding that is really what he has made his NBA career on. What have you learned about his journey to this point this season?
I mean, basically, I think we're looking at Andrea Drummond. When we talk about his journey, and I get what Nick is saying, but also you got to be 100. Like, Andrea Drummond was dealing with foot issues last year, and, rebounding involves jumping, involves a lot of other things. I also think that a lot of last year, Andre really didn't know what his role was. I mean, there was a lot of people who didn't know. There were certain games where you would play a lot of minutes, other games you wouldn't, this and that. I guess Andre maybe came in a little bit last season, knowing that thinking that he was going to be the guy because he knew Joel Embiid's workout plan or bringing him along slowly, but it didn't really work out. But then I felt like he didn't know what his role was, right? And then there became some frustration with everybody because let's keep it 100. They were trash at this part of last season. They were at one point through 12 games. I remember 14 games. They were 2-12. They had the worst record in the NBA. So you deal with that. I think this year, you look at Andre, you say to him, you say, look, you're the third string center. You're behind the Dembona. He knows in the back of his mind there's nowhere in heck he should be the third string center. And then what happens is we look at physicality. This team isn't as physical as it should be. But Drummond is. Drummond comes in here. He provides the physicality. He does a lot of other things. And voila, next thing you know, all you got to do is say, grab rebounds. We hit a couple threes, hit some baskets or some other baskets. But at the same time, we're going to live with, you probably giving up points at the other end, but just still be on the boards, do whatever you can, be a disruptor. And I think that's what he's done. But I get what Nick Nurse is saying, but I also, it's hard for me to not say that the feet didn't bother him or his foot didn't bother him last year. especially when we talk about rebounding.
Yeah. So that brings me to the media day again. And I've harkened back to media day a number of times, mostly to point out Tyrese Maxey telling you, hey, I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be hustling. The whole team's going to be hustling. You're going to get the same brand of basketball from the 76ers. And really this last game that we saw them play against the Magic was the first one that we saw them play where it's like, yeah, none of that was true, unfortunately. But most of the season, they've at least hustled their asses off and looked like a team that was ready to play basketball. That's the number one thing for media day. The second thing for media day was toe yoga. Keith, before Andre Drummond mentioned toe yoga at media day, had you ever heard of toe yoga?
Nah, I doubt if he ever heard of it before somebody introduced him to him. I never heard of it.
Hey, look,
I heard of footsies, footsies with your girl and stuff like that, but nah, I ain't never heard no toe yoga. Like, come on.
I did not have that on my bingo card today. I love that.
Nah, me either. But you said toe yoga. I'm like, huh? What's that? Is that footsies? Like, I don't know.
We're gonna play a little game of footsie. Trust me, I'm a medical doctor. Trust me, we're gonna play a game of footsies, Andre. You're gonna be back to rebounding 10 boards per game. But I had never heard of it before, and I laughed when he said it. But whatever he did, like we talking football about Jordan Davis, Eagles defensive tackle, he really got into Peloton to really get him back into shape, And I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's good for a guy who looks to mostly work on his conditioning and drop weight, and it certainly worked for him. But I just wouldn't associate a defensive tackle with that. I wouldn't associate a 6'11", 7-foot center like Andre Drummond with toe yoga. But whatever he needed to do in the offseason, I guess Nick Nurse did drive the point home easily, saying, yeah, that didn't cut it last year. Do whatever it takes. And he did whatever it takes. Now, not only that, we also, in the efforts, like you said, to keep it 100, we're also talking about a guy that's essentially on a one-year deal right now and trying to prove himself to a team next year. Or if this season, Keith, continues to go the way a lot of people think it's going to go, which is almost a mirror image of last year, he becomes a trade piece at the deadline. Do you think Drummond has value at the NBA level outside of the 76ers?
If you're looking for somebody to be a rebounder, I think you got to take a good hard look at him. Yeah, if he's somebody for a rebounder, there were scouts at the game, and there was one play where Drummond, Wendell Carter just basically took him off the dribble and banged on him, and you saw the scouts look at each other like, So if you're expecting them to protect the rim, maybe not. But if you're expecting him to be someone who, he has trade value because he could grab rebounds, this and that. Like, he's not going to be someone at this stage of his career who's going to be a key piece, but he can be someone who can be a role player to help out in certain categories. So yeah, he has to. But if I'm the 76ers, if I'm trying to win, I don't know if I'm trying to trade him. I'm gonna be honest with you, because like at this particular time, like you're looking at it, he's the last man standing, and we talk about availability. When Adem Bona played, don't get me wrong, I love Adem's bounce. I love what he do, but he's only 6'8". And when he went to Cleveland and he played against those Twin Towers, he was getting destroyed. They had to take him out quick, fast, and hurry, right? So my thing is, when we look at it, Adem is what he is. He's an elite shot blocker. He gets out in transition. He's pretty good. But you still need a traditional type center, somebody that's going to be able to bang with the big boys, someone who is going to be able to grab rebounds. So I would not trade Drummond. I'm sorry. Yeah. And I just wouldn't. And I don't even know if you're going to get a lot back for him. I'm just real.
Yeah, he would be more of the the throw-in type of thing, the sweetener, not the star. I want the 76ers to win as many games as possible. I want them to be competitive at the trade deadline and not trade Andre Drummond. I want Andre Drummond to be here. But if the season continues to trend in the direction where it's starting to feel, then maybe you unload some guys, unfortunately. One more thing I do want to say about Andre Drummond, because it is amazing what he's done this year. From three-point land, by the way, 9 threes this season. He has hit 9 threes. I believe all corner threes, by the way. And that is more threes than he has made in the last 5 NBA seasons combined. So how about that?
Yeah,
here's the toe
balling.
Yoga. Yeah, he's balling. He is balling.
Here's to no, I don't want to say that. I didn't want to say that. Here's to get, like, you know what it is? It's total yoga. But you don't want to make it sound like degrading because you got to pay for it or whatever. Like, hey, we're doing
right.
Yeah, man. Right. Yeah, we're doing toe yoga. It's like, I don't know.
Trust me, I'm an orthopedic surgeon. Toe yoga is the way to go. All right. When we come back, that's the good news from the 76ers. Let's get to the unfortunate news as the injury list grows with potentially some good news again down the line. But let's talk about Trenton Watford when we come back. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. Let me tell you about FanDuel right now. Oh, boy. Lots of action on FanDuel this Thursday, this Thanksgiving. But we do know the NBA season is upon us as well, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game or want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting. That's what FanDuel does, especially when your team's making that late push. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We have some people joining us here on this Thanksgiving. This is nice. Everyone's saying happy Thanksgiving here. CM Punk, thank you very much. Anthony, no way they are up this early. Oh, we're up this early. We live, baby. We live. How about that? Camille, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Hi. Oh, hi, Sam. Hi to you as well. Trenton Watford, you had thought yesterday maybe about 2 weeks with this adductor injury there, which, by the way, I always feel so terrible for athletes when you see them pull a groin or a hamstring, they blow a tire, so to speak, and they just go down non-contact. Trenton Watford's injury, it came up again in my algorithm this morning, and I feel so bad for a guy like that who was putting together a nice start to a season here for the Sixers. As Nick Nurse put it yesterday, Keith, they just got used to having him back, or they just got used to having him, essentially. And now, unfortunately, it looks like, 2 weeks he could miss here, 3 weeks?
Yeah. Here's the good thing. The good thing about that is the Sixers are being fully transparent.
Yes.
If you say the good thing is a grade 1, and we talked about that, I said it could be anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, right? So, who knows? Maybe they're just going to check them out in 2 weeks or whatever. But you would think if it was a grade 2, they would say, okay, well, we'll check them out in maybe 3 or 4 weeks. You know what I mean? So hopefully this is just a grade 1. But yeah, you kind of feel bad for him. But then you also realize you're like, dang, man, this guy can't get a break, because before it was the hamstring thing, and now this is still a lower body injury. So you wonder if are these two separate things, or are they associated? Was he overcompensating? You know what I mean? And in one area because the other area was still weak. Or he wasn't, feeling comfortable with it. But, it's tough for him because, it's weird. He had 2 pretty good games. Like the game before that, he almost flirted, almost had a triple-double. Then he had another game where he had his first career triple-double, his only triple-double. But it was like, okay, we see it now. We see it. And his leadership is out there, being the vocal leader on the team. And let's face it, with all these injuries, they need him. They need him. They need what he provides. And now he's back and injured. So it's tough for him. And it's also tough for the Sixers.
Look, I don't mean to put Trenton Watford in like some all-star category here. I mean, we just spent an offseason pining over Quentin Grimes, and that's no disrespect to Quentin Grimes. It's just, generally speaking, not somebody that you're like, man, the Sixers better get this guy. It's not somebody that you're hoping and praying that they bring back. But Trenton Watford, for what the Sixers are right now, he's a good basketball player. He is a very versatile basketball player. And I saw somebody in our chat yesterday, it was yesterday, talking about like, oh, this is just a favor to Maxey. Like, to me, I watch Trenton Watford, and I see a guy that can get the rebound and go. He can facilitate. He can, first off, he can start the play by getting that rebound. He can have the quick outlet pass, or he can bring the ball up. He can, he's a more than willing defender. I don't know, that's a big compliment in the NBA, but he is more than a willing defender, and he's a guy that just wants to help the team win and can help the team win. I don't see him at all as just a favor to Tyrese Maxey. I look at him as a good basketball player, and unfortunately right now with the Sixers and the injuries, it's slim pickings when you talk about good basketball players or guys that aren't coming off injury. I look at him as a guy the Sixers are going to miss over the next 2 weeks, hopefully just 2 weeks, or if not a little bit less. And also at the same time, I looked at him as a guy to pick up a little bit more for Kelly Oubre as well, especially on the defensive end of things.
Yeah, I don't think he can pick up for Kelly Oubre on the defensive end. No offense. I'm just saying.
Not that level.
I'm messing around. But they're two different players, right? Here's the thing about Trenton now, and I get what people say, but like the elephant in the room is the 76ers didn't have a lot of money to go out there and get some of the players that people wanted them to get. And they didn't have the trade value to go out there and trade for the people that people wanted them to get. So when you look at a Trenton Watford, yes, he is one of Tyrese Maxey's best friends, which is also a good thing. But secondly, he's a guy that they could afford, right? So you got him for a bargain, so to speak. And for him, it's a win-win. Well, for him, I shouldn't say a win-win because you would always love to get more money, but it's giving him an opportunity to play in a situation where he could possibly get more money down the road because they're giving him ample opportunity to show what he can do. So I get it when people say like, why for this, why for that? But the main question is, who else were you going to get for the salary he got? And then also he's proven to be okay. I hate to say it, Trenton Watford is making a little bit more than the minimum. You got other guys making the minimum. And then you got two other guys on two-way deals. So who are in the rotation. So when we look at it, it's kind of like, it's easy to be critical of him, but you got to be critical of the situation. And this is the best that they can get. And him having a triple-double, him providing leadership, him doing things, it's great. You got to live with the mistakes that he makes or some of the shots that he misses because you know what? He's a good player, but he's not looked upon as the upper echelon that teams would want to get or have or could afford. So, they got him for what they got him for, and you got to live with it. But to me, I think I like the leadership that he provides, the vocal leadership. Also, I also feel like when Drummond is a tough guy, he's also another guy that you don't really mess with. And let's face it, I'm going to be quite honest with you. When you got a guy like Tyrese Maxey, players of his stature, they tend to get what they want, right? And I'm not just saying that's the only reason why he's here because Nick Nurse wanted Trenton Watford last year. But if you want to keep Tyrese Maxey happy or Tyrese Maxey, instead of him saying, you know what? I'm in the prime of my career. You got me paired with two other max players who aren't playing. Oh, what am I doing here? Do I want to leave? Do I want to do this? Or do you say, hey, you want your running mate to come here too? He can help out. And that's not the only reason why Trenton is here, y'all, because they wanted him before. But you got to keep Tyrese Maxey happy right now before he starts saying the grass is greener on the other side. I don't think they're close to that, but at the same time, it does help getting him somebody that he wants to play with.
Yes, and just to point it out again, it's Tyrese Maxey's second best friend. He has a first best friend and a second best friend, and his second best friend is Trenton Watford. Is that weird? Yes. I think third grade is when I stopped numbering my best friends, but not Tyrese Maxey. He's still very much in that mindset. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta, we're going to get into VJ Edgecombe. We're going to get right now into Paul George when we come back and our Thanksgiving traditions. We'll break that down more when we return. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hey, how about DoorDash? DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching the highlights, the fantasy team, whether your favorite player is on the TV, whatever it might be, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash has the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the bag drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in the game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day. That's Dash Pass the next day. You're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking inspired drip by players. We're talking exclusive gear. We're talking stuff that you actually want. DoorDash has you covered for late night highlights, last minute watch parties, and double OT fuel up. So the next time someone goes off for 50 points in the game, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off your DoorDash Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only. That's Dash Pass members only. 50% off, up to $10 the next day. 50-point game with a promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. So VJ Edgecombe, Paul George practiced yesterday, Keith.
Mm-hmm.
And their status is hopefully they play against the Brooklyn Nets tomorrow night. 7:30 tip-off in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Hopefully they play.
Yeah, here's my thing. That's a good sign, I guess. But, I know if I'm the Sixers, you really want to be, especially for VJ, you want to be as cautious as possible, right? And maybe it's one of those things where you look at it and you say, okay, we'll bring them back. But we're testing them out. But for me, if you can't beat the Brooklyn Nets without VJ Edgecombe, you ain't beating the Brooklyn Nets. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, like, it's one of those things. If I can give them, now maybe you can go out there and you can let them, run up and down the floor a little bit to see how the calf feels. But as we talked about before, like a lot of these guys who had these calf strains, and they felt like, I can play through it. It's not that bad of an injury. They ended up tearing their Achilles, a lot of players. So to me, practice could have been, and I wonder how hard did he go at practice? What did he do? Because they're never being really specific on what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
saying, real quick. I'll give you the exact quote here from Nick Nurse. They made it through.
Yeah. Okay.
They made it like it was like American Gladiators or something. The Gauntlet. I don't know. They made it through practice yesterday, Keith.
But him at least saying that is better than them saying they did a couple things. They were here or they were that. So it makes you feel a little bit. But at the same time, if I'm them. I'm pretty sure, this is Thanksgiving, but if I got 2 injured players, and I'm pretty sure this is what they're saying, it's like, okay, bro, I know before y'all eat that turkey and all this and that, we want you to come in here and get some treatment. And we also want to, talk to you, monitor how you're feeling, everything like that. And I'm pretty sure, they probably may even get some more treatment tonight or whatever, whenever they leave to head up to Brooklyn. Whatever, and then maybe do some more stuff. But to me, I don't want to see somebody turn what is just a little injury or like fatigue or a little strain until Achilles tear. I don't want it to get worse. So I'm gonna be 100% careful with him. I just am. And even down to PG, like, my thing is, come back if it's going to take you a couple more days, and do that, because after that, they're about to get into this gauntlet, man, of a season. And they need to be able to to have their key players out there, right now. And I think that it's good that they practice. That's a good sign. But make sure 100. If you can't beat the Brooklyn Nets, the the 3-14 Brooklyn Nets, then we got a problem.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now I have to ask you the hard question here, Keith. I want Keith Pompey to go back to his childhood. 10 years old, right? You're in Frankfurt at that point?
Yeah, I was in Frankfurt.
Okay. You're in Frankfurt, okay. What's the tradition? What's the Pompey family tradition on Thanksgiving? What are you guys doing?
Man, it was crazy. Well, we used to have fun, and I was laughing because I'm thinking, like, what did we used to do? So we used to go over to my grandmother's house. It was and it was crazy because my grandmother, all my family is basically from West Philly, right?
Okay.
But we moved to Frankfurt.
The other side of town.
Other side of town, but the thing is, my grandmother moved to Frankfurt, so that's what made us. That was my mom's mom. So
Gotcha.
like my mom moved there too. So we would go over there, but it was like all the cousins from like West Philly would come down, and we would have a big one. And we had my Uncle Ike, who he was like the smoothest dude. Like he always had a really nice car. He always had a beautiful woman by his side who was like decades younger than him, right? And he was old head, real old head. But the thing about him was, I'm talking about like he had the hat, the fedora, everything. He was clean. And he would say these prayers before we would eat. And people would pray before he prayed that the prayer wouldn't be too long. That's how long his prayers were. Seriously. And it was kind of like, so I'm sitting back and I'm thinking as a kid, like at the table, looking at my sister, like, is he going to stop? Is he going to stop? Is he going to stop? So that was the biggest memory. But like Uncle Ike, I love him to death, though. He was a great man. Great man. I always looked up to him. But when you said that, I was thinking about the prayer where we just looking like, I'm talking about, man.
Is he just going to name everyone in our family that's passed ever since history began?
But he was hecka cool, man. Like I remember one time he was a locksmith. His actual job was a locksmith. And I remember my aunt took me she wanted to drop off his lunch. It was his daughter. So I was with her and she wanted to drop off his lunch. And we go into like the locksmith's place. And I got like, huh? Because I was a little kid. And I was like, huh? Like this was before I was 10. And she was like, what's wrong? I said, like, that ain't him. What's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? Because I was so used to seeing him so clean. I'm talking about Marc. I'm talking about clean, like the Board of Health clean. He was always clean. Always.
That's great. That's great, man. When you went to an uncle, I knew it was going to be a great memory. Like when you go back to like everyone's got that favorite uncle, everyone's got that one character of the family that's like, yeah, that guy's got the answers. I'm going to follow that guy. That's awesome, man. Good. That's a beautiful Pompey family memory.
Tell me yours. Tell me one of yours. One of your memories.
Thanksgiving is usually in Baltimore for me because my mom's from Baltimore, so we go down to her mom's. We'd be down Dundalk, man, down Maryland, down just outside Baltimore, And I actually said that like a Baltimore. Anyway, and my grandmother, I remember two things specifically. My grandmother made this cabbage with like little bits of bacon in it. It was like this steamed cabbage that was like you tell me you were having cabbage. It sounds terrible, but like she made it. With the bacon, it was the best. It was one, man. Oh, I could still smell it to this day. It's just so delicious, right? And then my mom is one of 12, so I have a boatload of cousins. So we would all go out and play football. Like we'd find, a park or something. There's one park around the corner from my grandmother's. We'd go to and play, and we'd play for hours. And then usually an adult would have to come out and be like, "All right, dinner's ready," and then we'd all go home. Go to the house and we'd all eat. That was like my cousins. We'll all text each other today. Yeah, we'll all text each other today. Like, hey, wish we were playing football in Dundalk, something like that.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
That's
1 of 12. That's like my grandmother. She was like 1 of 16. I was like 16 kids. What were they doing? Okay.
Yeah, man. Yep.
Love is real.
Mary and Al, they loved each other. Let me tell you that, man. They were married 74 years, my grandparents. God bless them.
Wow, that's a blessing.
Yeah. 6 boys, 6 girls. How about that?
Right there. That's bad.
Yeah,
they had the Brady bunch.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's awesome. Well, hey, everybody that has watched the show and enjoyed the show and listened to the podcast and all that, we appreciate you guys. We're thankful for all of you. Yes, that's tie-in today, obviously, and we hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving and you make your memories and all that stuff, and you add to them today on this Thanksgiving. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the holiday. Back with you guys tomorrow. See you then. Locked On 76. Hey, Keith, officially, happy Thanksgiving, brother.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too, man. And don't eat too much birds. Peace.
Not if I can help it. All right, guys, have a great one. See ya.
All right, peace.